Okay, so that was some kind of Middle Eastern drummer. And that was a tune called Learned Sand, kind of a new agey thing before the doumbek got involved. And it was about a person named Sandy Lerner. And I think that's all I'm going to say about that. But what is this segment about? This is 20.9. Sorry, 20.7. There are only 8 segments. 20.7 is called the Concert Leap. So this is a big deal. Most musicians in the world do not do concerts. They play in restaurants, art galleries, bars, farmers markets, lots of places where they are not the reason that people are there. They are playing background music. They're not playing foreground music. Foreground music means that you're playing in such a way that people sort of have to pay attention. Background music means that you're part of the ambience, and people could do whatever they went there for, buying flowers at a flower's market, or vegetables at a farmer's market, or art at an art gallery, but you're sort of just part of the vibe of the place. And it's the time-honored way to actually get gigs for most musicians, because there are a lot less concert gigs available than there are bars, restaurants, farmers markets, art galleries, and the like. Some musicians spend their whole life playing background music. And there's no shame in that, because it's steady work and you can support yourself as a musician. And when you play at farmers markets, you may have an audience of several hundred people. So lots of people hear your stuff. So that's actually pretty cool. And it's also nice to play at art galleries. You could pretend that's sort of concert-like. And sometimes they highlight an artist for part of what's going on. I was at a party this weekend, which an author wrote a book, and they were doing a book, exposing it to the world and talking about their book, but they also had hired a flamenco guitarist. And she was really, really good. And they let her play and have the spotlight for, a set. So although she was not the reason people were there, she wasn't background music either. Nobody was talking while she was playing, because she was like doing a concert within an ambiance gig. So the concert leap. The concert leap is, how do you get out of being a background musician to a foreground musician? Well, let's take a little bit of a deeper dive about that. Most background music is instrumental. Most foreground music has vocals. So the very fastest way to get out of being in the background into the foreground is to sing. And maybe you don't know how to sing. Well, get a singer or try to learn how to sing. But in any case, it's pretty hard for instrumental bands to get concerts. Yes, I know classical music is largely instrumental and they get concerts, but you know how hard it is to get a gig as a classical musician? Really, really, really hard. I'm sure that less than 1% of the people who are music majors in college get a gig doing concerts, as opposed to, let's say, people with a degree in dentistry or accounting. I'm sure it's a lot more than 1%. If only 1% of people who went to dental school became dentists, they wouldn't go. And artists are idealists, and they go, okay, 1%, that might be good. Well, it's not good enough for me. So I've been struggling with, how do I become a concert artist for my whole life? And it occurred to me, well, the best way to do a concert was not to wait to be discovered, as in becoming deployable. How about, instead of being deployable, how about actually deploying yourself and going out and renting that church or that club and selling tickets and inviting a lot of other musicians, and then you could do a concert. The best way to make the concert leap is to make the concert. Or become a side man or a side woman in a band that does concerts. That's the most normal way to do it. People go and play with other people for several years, and then if they're good enough, they get up to the point of doing concerts. I didn't have that much patience. I'm old. I'm in my 70s. I decided I had to take the concert leap by myself, which is why I'm doing crazy things like playing along with a Middle Eastern drummer. So let's see if I can play a little bit more.